Hello, Sarah here from sarahpicaro.com. Almost couldn't say my last name. Today's video, we're going to get into coping after a traumatic event. As you know, or if you don't, pleased to inform you so that you do know, I specialize in working with people who've gone through emotionally abusive and neglectful past, narcissistic relationships. And in being in those, there's not just a single traumatic event. So coping after a traumatic event feels impossible. It's like, which event? Which of the million of events am I supposed to utilize these things that we're going to talk about to cope with this? Because all of those events have compounded the trauma. And really, at its core and at its truth, trauma is trapped information. There is an abundance of information within you, inside of you, desperate to get out, to heal you, to expand you, to grow you to the person that you were really, really created to be, to the person that you were put on this planet to be, to open up your truths and to stop living in a pile of lies. And that's what trauma does, especially when you're told to cope. Or just do these things to cope after this event or after these number of events. And your mind is like, which one? Your gaslighter mind comes in and says, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have what it takes. I'm never, ever, ever going to get out of this place. And so your mind becomes really jagged and really jaded. And it feels like it consistently and constantly hits these sharp points and places within. And it goes, ouch, that hurts. Ooh, that hurts. No, that causes more pain. No, thank you. I'd rather remain the same. And because the mind likes what's familiar and what will avoid what's unfamiliar, it is very resistant to change. And all of these things that they say to do to cope after a traumatic event are designed to increase and promote change. And your mind goes, no, coping with it, I'll just deal with it. That's what coping with it means. Coping means deal with it. I'll just deal with it, I guess. Yeah, there's nothing else I can do. It's never going to get better. I tried to cope with it and it didn't work because I followed these steps that I found when I Googled, the ones I'm going to share with you. Didn't do anything. You know what? I talked to counselor, talked to therapist, nothing happened. And the reason why it feels like nothing happens is because you're talking. Talking is just a conscious process. You're talking about what you think it is. You're talking about the symptoms of what it is, of what you're going through, what you're living through, and what you're experiencing. You're not getting to truly what's causing this belief, these feelings, these experiences internally, unconsciously, and that is the key that will set you free. That's what I do when I work one-to-one with my private clients. We don't waste any time. I'm really not a person who likes to BS and waste time. And to be quite honest, with so much love and compassion, I don't care about your problems. And you don't either. What you truly care about is your emotional freedom from them. And that's what your heart and your soul longs for and desires to experience, not to connect with someone, not to talk to someone more about your problems. You desire to be free from them internally, unconsciously, emotionally. You desire to be through it, not stuck behind it. And so when you're looking for things like advice on how to cope with a traumatic event, you find that you hit this dead end. It feels like internally inside. You read an article, and as you read an article like the one I'm going to share, you're like, gosh, gag me, like put a spoon in my eye, please. Like that would be better than this, because this didn't do anything to make me feel better. Or if it did, it was short-lived because I was able to talk to someone, I was able to get it off my chest. You know what? But what do they think of me now? And why do I still feel this way? And so your mind goes into overdrive about still feeling the way it feels. So if you've experienced a traumatic event, here are some things you should try. Great. Lay them on me. What are they? Give yourself time. I hate this. It's so funny to me because it's so programmed into what we're told it's supposed to be like. It just takes time. It takes time. If your unconscious mind is still linked to the beliefs that that traumatic event caused you to believe about yourself, the more time that goes by, the more you experience that. So the more time that goes by, the more you experience the pain because you've got more time to experience the pain. You've got more time to struggle. You've got more time to worry. You've got more time to wonder how long it's going to be like this, and more time to think that it's always going to be like this and that there's something wrong with you. But the truth is that there's not, there never has been, and there never will be. But your unconscious mind has locked onto a belief that there is. And so the more time that goes by, the more time you experience the anger, the resentment, the frustration, the disappointment, and the belief in the identity that you're broken, you always will be because of this. So time in and of itself doesn't do anything to help heal. It really doesn't. Can it take time to recover from a traumatic event? Yes. But you can expedite and you can collapse the time it takes to truly heal from the traumatic event with the reprogramming and the rewiring of your inner mind's unconscious beliefs about itself because of that experience. So if you simply do nothing except sit around and just wait for time to heal you, you're going to do just that. So, experiencing emotional abuse and neglect from a past, time just compounds it and it makes those bad feelings worse. So, that's really not an indicator of how healed you are, is how much time it was from that particular event or relationship. So, be aware of that. The other advice is, and I hate advice, advice is often unsolicited and unhelpful. So I can't stand when people are like, thanks for the advice, because it's like, great, that did really what they're saying is, thanks, that did nothing for me. I've still got this problem, and you've told me what I should do or what I could do or how I would feel if I did do. But if it didn't come from within, it didn't come from your own unconscious mind, if it wasn't a creation of what is needed, what is unique, and what is tailored to you, specifically for you and for your life and what you've been through, it will do nothing for you. And some advice is talk about the event. No, that is literally the definition of trauma bonding. Bondage through talking about the event just causes more symptoms, more expressions of the emotions that the event created. If you were angry about the event and you talk about it, you're talking about your anger. You're bonding to the anger. If you felt worthless because of that event, if you felt helpless, if you felt powerless, you talk about it. You're giving power to feelings of powerlessness, helplessness, hopelessness, and worthlessness. You're becoming bonded to it. You're strengthening the bond to it by talking about it, because talking is a conscious exercise. It's a conscious experience. The problem resides within you unconsciously. The unconscious beliefs you've created and connected to and identified with about yourself because of the traumatic experience, those are all internal and unconscious. It is 95% of your mind. So talking about it is that conscious 5% part. And it does nothing to truly set you free from what happened internally and unconsciously. So talking about it, be careful. Be very, very careful. If you're going to talk about solutions and talk about growth and progress and momentum forward and the things that you're doing that you thought you never could do because of that, and you're actually following them up with action and doing them, not just talking about how hurt and how sad and how you're never ever going to get out of it, and how it's always going to be this way, which is what most people end up doing when they talk about the event. You end up doing further damage to yourself. So that's common advice that's out there. Talk about it. No, I say go within, connect to the unconscious beliefs you developed about yourself because of those events or experiences, and break free from them. That is something to talk about. How you're free and how your life is moving forward and how you've taken the learnings and the lessons and leaving the rest, and how that happened. It happened for you, not to you. And now you've gone through it, you've grown through it, you've become alive because of it. It's become part of your purpose and part of who you are, and who you are is now free from that, not continuing to be a chain and a victim to it. So the next advice is speak to others who've experienced the same thing as you. That's just the same as talking about it. If and only if you're talking about how you've grown and how you've overcome and how you've moved through it, and you're talking about it in a way that now you are a valuable source of reference to people who've gone through it. And because of you, because of how you're living and what you're modeling, and because your unconscious beliefs have changed, and now you are a thriver and a victor and not a victim, then the people that have experienced the same thing as you can look up to you as, oh my God, wow, this is something I can get through. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Not sitting there both in your helplessness talking about, well, that happened to you. Yeah. In my helplessness and hopelessness, it's happened to me too. Let's connect. Let's go out and drink our sorrows away, because this happened to both of us, and we're never ever going to change. No. So be careful. Be careful with this. Honestly, the most incredible experience in life changes to change your unconscious beliefs, the ones you've developed about yourself because of the traumatic experiences that you've been through. Asking for support. That's crucial. I talk about this in my masterclass, Transforming Past Pain to Present Power. The masterclass is called Transform. You can find it as a group on Facebook. Asking for support, but not just asking, oh, will you support me? You have to be the one that shows up to the table. You have to be the one that invests in yourself, invest in the time, invest in the energy, invest monetarily, investing in yourself, not just asking for support by going to someone and basically throwing all your problems on the table, looking at your plate of problems and going, will you do something with this for me? Because some people do that. They ask for support, but what they're really asking is for someone else to change their life for them. Has to come from you. That desire and that fire has to come from within you. You have to want to change. You have to want to be different. I get a lot of people that reach out to me. Hey, Sarah, I've got my friend or this person that I love, that I care about, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my whoever. I really want them to get help. That's amazing. That's commendable. I commend you for loving them and for caring about them. But if they don't want it for themselves, they'll never get it. You have to want to change. You have to deeply desire to transform and be different and really commit and invest, not just say, hey, I mean, if you're willing to just take all my problems away from me, that's cool. But, I'm not going to put any skin in the game. I don't believe in it. It all begins with beliefs, and not just conscious beliefs. I believe in miracles. Like, oh, just God send me a miracle rain down in my lap and then my life will be all better. No, it takes belief in yourself and in internally and unconsciously connecting to the beliefs. This is what rapid transformational therapy allows and provides. This is what, I mean, I've trained at a master's level hypnotherapist to really go in internally and unconsciously and not spend time talking about all the problems, really get to the core and the solution. That's the key to set you free. Other common advice that there is spending lots of time alone. Don't spend lots of time alone. I have found that sometimes this is powerfully beneficial because in your alone time, you're free. You're free from distraction. You're free from diverging thoughts that other people's have. You're free from this advice that may be doing more harm than good. So it's not bad to spend time alone. A lot of times it's what's needed to get away from the chaos, to get away from the clutter, to get away from all the distractions. Sometimes when you're with other people, they can be a distraction. When you're with other people, you can be doing things that are really harming your progress and your growth. You can be out drinking, you can be overeating, you can be using substances to numb from the experiences and these emotions that you're having instead of allowing yourself the time with yourself to process them. I don't even like the word alone. I like the word with yourself. Because the truth is, and the fact is, you're never alone. You're never alone. And when you're with yourself, people don't like that because they don't like what comes up. So don't spend lots of time alone. You couldn't, even if you wanted to, you can't spend time alone. You're always with yourself. And that's what most people get into. The problem is they're with themselves, but they're with a version of themselves that they don't want to be with. They're with a version of themselves that is beating them up, that is agreeing with all the limiting negative beliefs about themselves, with all the negative and detrimental stories about themselves. You're with a version of you that is constantly beating you up. You're with a version of you that is telling you consistently and constantly, you don't have what it takes. Who do you think you are? You're never going to get over this. I don't care how much time goes by. Look at you. And that's the version of you that you're with. But when you're with yourself in a kind, compassionate, caring, supportive, loving way, when you're with a version of yourself who has transformed the inner and unconscious beliefs you have about yourself because of what you've been through and what you've experienced, you're with the most empowering, incredible version of you. When I'm with myself now, I'm with my best friend. I'm like, whoo, let's do this. I love you. Thank you. I see you. I see you too. I love you. I love you too. And when you can become best friends with that inner you, and they can become your biggest fan and your greatest support and your inner cheerleader, and that version of you, and those two of you are connected to a higher power and a higher source that also supports you, there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing you can't make it through. So yeah, sometimes it's good to spend some time alone so you can really, really deeply connect with the version of you that could end up being the most incredible, greatest version of you. And then it's to stick to your routine. Okay. I laugh at this. Stick to your routine. That's a way to overcome a traumatic event. Most people find it impossible to stick to a routine because your emotions on a day-to-day basis fluctuate. They depend. They depend on what comes up. They depend on what you're processing. And if you're just going through the same old motions of sticking to a routine, a lot of times you're not allowing yourself to process what you need to process. My routine is different every day. Sometimes it looks the same as far as the activities and exercises that I do and the people that I speak to, but a routine that's so regimented, it feels like you're stuck. Stick to your routine. That sometimes for some people who've experienced emotional abuse, neglect, and trauma, that makes them feel even more stuck than they already are. Well, go back to the routine that you had before the traumatic event or before the relationship. Just go back to who you used to be. You never, ever can go back to who you used to be. You can't. Every day changes you. Every experience you have changes you. Every thought you have changes you. It literally transforms you. You're changing every single day. And sometimes for people sticking to a routine, it makes them feel like they're never going to change. And that's what their heart and soul longs for and desires, is to change. If the version of who you were before you got into that relationship was a version of you who didn't care about yourself and wasn't exercising and wasn't eating well, and the advice of like, just go back to your routine and stick to it. So now you're sticking to not exercising, to not taking care of yourself because you don't believe that you're pretty enough or good enough. And that unconscious belief says, yeah, you're never going to be good enough. What's the point? What's the point? And so you find that you're eating horrible and you're not exercising, you're not taking care of yourself. And you're like, no, I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to look better. I want to feel better. I want to be better. And the version of me that used to drink too much, used to try to numb out these all emotions and feelings with other substances. And someone says, could just go back to that and stick to your routine. Horrible advice. Horrible advice. You can see why I don't like advice. Okay. Then there's some more advice. Notice how you're feeling. So many people that I've worked with experience disassociation and disconnection and derealization. And they're like, I don't know how I'm feeling. I'm not feeling anything. I'm feeling numb. I'm not feeling anything. I feel like I'm floating. I feel like I'm floating above the version of me that feels the things. Now what? Notice. I feel nothing. I don't feel anything. You want me to notice more of that? I've already spent so much time noticing that. That's why I'm here. That's what I want transformation and breakthrough from. I really want to feel. And not only do I want to feel, I know I want to feel that I can handle what I feel. I want to feel alive inside. Well, feeling alive inside requires feeling, does it not? So if you don't notice how you're feeling and you're so numb, unaware, disconnected from your feelings, and someone says, just notice how you're feeling, you want to punch them in the face. You're like, what? That is supposed to help me? How? How about you take that advice? And how about I go over there? And how about we're done with this? Okay. And other advice is seek professional help, which is true, right? You should do that. But if all it's doing is more deeply rooting and grounding the trauma and not providing you emotional freedom and breakthrough, not reprogramming, not rewiring the unconscious mind and the beliefs you've developed about yourself from that, it's sometimes no different than just sitting there talking to a friend, a professional friend. Okay, well, this person is supposed to help me, but all they're doing is labeling me. This person is supposed to be supporting me, and all they're doing is writing prescriptions for me. How is that helping? All it's doing is compounding and just putting a mask and band-aid on the actual problem. So be careful. I always advise really, truly utilizing the power of all the resources that you have within to really get to what it is that's going on within. So more advice is take care. Don't consume too much about the event, right? Go no contact. Stop putting yourself in the energetic connection to the situation and the person and the experience, right? No contact. Create physical boundaries, create emotional boundaries, create spiritual boundaries. All of that gets to be easy when you believe in yourself, when you've transformed and reprogrammed and rewired the inner unconscious beliefs you've developed about yourself. So all of that is advice. You know my stance on advice now because it is what it is. Take it, leave it. If it works for you, take it. If it doesn't, leave the rest. And really, really deeply connect with what's going on. I specialize in rapid transformational therapy, master's level conversational hypnosis, really allowing your mind to work for you instead of continuing to work against you, especially in the area of emotional abuse and neglect from past relationships, because that can do a number on how you think about yourself, what you see when you look at yourself, and the emotions, these experiences that you have with life when it comes to your relationship with it. the most important, crucial, vital relationship that we all have is the one that we have within ourselves. If we don't believe in ourselves, how in the world can we expect anyone else to? And the belief about ourselves is deeply rooted in our unconscious mind. So that is the key to freedom. That is the key to solution. That is the key to breaking free and truly living an extraordinary, amazing, abundant, vital, alive life. So careful on the advice you take. And when you're ready to connect, please reach out. You can find more information at sarahpicaro.com. Love you guys. Bye for now.